scared of that because any of you that know me, I'm genetically programmed to, when I get in front of an audience, to become one of these stand-up comic. So forgive me for that. But I am glad to be here. What a crowd. This is great. Is it always this big?
Yeah, sometimes big.
Be sure and get that one. I am glad to be here. I've been around here a long time. I'm even over 60. It's hard to believe. But I am the business liaison and have been for the last 10 years for the West Kentucky Workforce Investment Board. How many of you have ever heard of the WIB? A couple. How many of you have ever heard of WIA? LWIA. We are a quasi-government agency. We can whip out some acronyms like you wouldn't believe. And we do, because there are so many things, you know, we're connected to the government. There's a lot of paperwork, a lot of regulations. But what we try to do is be a liaison between all these government regulations and get down to the employer. We are under the Workforce Investment Act that's part of the Department of Labor, the U.S. Department of Labor. It was passed in 1998, and finally we've gotten it reauthorized. It just took a few years to get it reauthorized, but, excuse me, our funding does come from them. And what we are here to do is to serve employers and the workforce. And you all are employers, even if you have just one employer, that being yourself. We're here to serve you. And part of what we're trying to do is, good morning. We saved you a seat there. But Bonnie is one of our products. Can I mention that, Bonnie?
Sure, go ahead.
Too late. But we're interested in our employer is one of our customers. The job seeker, the workforce individuals are our other customers. But my job as the business liaison, and I'm also the energy coordinator, is to serve the employer primarily. We work under the Kentucky Career Center system. And when you hear Kentucky Career Center, you know, when she said JobNet, that was our name a couple of years ago. Now we're Kentucky, you gotta learn these things. We change all the time. But now we're the Kentucky Career Center system. But we are, the Business Services Group is a partnership of workforce agencies. How many of you have heard of the Unemployment Office? All of you have, I know you have. You hopefully you don't have to visit there very often. But it's actually the Kentucky Office of Employment and Training. That's one of our workforce partners. The West Kentucky Workforce Investment Board, and we're under the PAD, General Area Development District, is another one of the partners. Voc Rehab, Kentucky Farm Worker Program, the Experience Works, that works with individuals that are 55 and older that still need to work. And of course, we don't have anybody in here at that age, but we do have, and then we work with young people as well. But with the employer, what I've been doing mostly is on-the-job training. And I see some of you I've met with in the room. We've talked about possibly doing on-the-job training. Ronnie and I chatted a bit about it. But we work with the huge employer, but we also work with a very small employer. And we work up a master contract with you, a master agreement of how much we can do to put possible income-eligible adults or dislocated workers in training. But we also can do things like helping you to list your positions and help you find employees. We can help you do a job fair. We've done job fairs for GE and Land of Frost and all the coal mines and even some small employers. But labor market information. But anytime you have a job opening, I encourage you to list it through the Kentucky Career Center system because we'll help you match up with some qualified employees. I just want to tell you a couple of stories about what we've done. 10 years ago when I was hired, we got a $2 million grant because the area coal mines in western Kentucky, also eastern Kentucky, but I'm just worried about western Kentucky. They had no skilled labor. They had a sudden surge of the need for coal miners. And I know, you're thinking, oh, really? Because we know so many are laid off now. But at that time, they missed a whole generation of coal miners. They had the ones ready to retire, and they had the younger ones that didn't have a clue how to be a coal miner. But boy, they wanted to buy that fancy new pickup truck and boat. So those jobs looked pretty good. You all know what I'm talking about. So we got a grant, and we were able to put hundreds of coal miners to work in on-the-job training where they could work underground for about 6 months, and we pay the employer 50% of their salary. And it was a great boost for the coal mines. Now, we're facing layoffs because of EPA regulations, and you all know the story. Just 2 weeks ago, I went to Henderson and Waverly, Kentucky to do what we call a rapid response with the Patriot coal miners at Highland No. 9 and Dodge Hill. Nearly 600 miners laid off. Some of them were shipped by bus from eastern Kentucky a year ago to work in western Kentucky because the mines in East Kentucky closed, and here they are. They've moved here. Now a year later, they're laid off here. So some of them we've been able to put into jobs, but that's what we're doing now. But the rapid response helps them get back into the workforce and get them that new skill to get a job. But my favorite story is Integrated Metal Solutions. Has anybody ever heard of that? IMS? I know you have. It used to be, it's been everything. Hughes Originators and Speed Queen and all that, but IMS was going to close. But they weren't IMS before that. They were Gymtron. And half of the plant was completely shut off. But 5 local individuals decided to partnership together and buy that half of the company. And we worked with them because, oh my gosh, that's what we want. We want a company to stay here, keep the doors open, keep people working. And that's what they did. And we put about 50 of their new employees, which were really their old employees, to work with an OJT. It really helped them out to build their workforce. And we're still working with them with on-the-job training. But we could bring some small employers, excuse me, Profile Systems Design Group. We work with them with an OJT and Ruby Concrete. You know, Ken's always calling me, and we work with them the way we can. But I'm going to open it up for questions. You do have quite a bit of literature in front of you, and there's a calendar here, and it has all kinds of helps for entrepreneurs. You know, it has resources you can go to, and government phone numbers and all. Shared, I do share that.
Well, when you say we help employers with on-the-job training, are you referring to the match of payroll with on-the-job training, or are you talking?
Well,
or are you talking about actually training?
We don't want to train. We let you do the training. They are your employee, but we just reimburse you for your training expense. Now, there are stipulations. They have to be full-time. They have to make at least $11 an hour.
Right.
We can make an exception if you're going to give them 11 within 6 months. But $11 an hour is what we consider a self-sufficient wage. And, you know, we all know it'd be tough to live on $11 an hour, but we have people doing it all the time around here, but that's what we consider minimum. Yes, sir.
I have a little bit of experience with that because as a small business operator at one time with refrigeration, finding qualified service people is around here is very difficult. You always get the ones that say, oh yeah, I want to learn, but you know, they don't stick to it very long, and we have a lot of problems. And I found that we work with, and I don't remember the name or the acronym of the agency, but it was basically what you do with the OJT. And for us, when we could take 1 or 2 people, individuals, and get that 50% training, because you know, a kid out of high school doesn't, I mean, his mother's still telling him to pick up his clothes. and he expects to come to work for $10 an hour or whatever as a starting wage, we can't afford that to put him to work emptying waste baskets. So if we got somebody to help him along, then 6 months later, at least he's not a refrigeration mechanic, but at least he's to the point where he's productive enough that, okay, we can pick him up from there. So at one time, that did give us a source of some people that had potential. You know, went through a lot of them that didn't work out, but we did get some. So it was useful for us as just using 1 or 2 people occasionally.
High Tech Chrome is one of those companies that I'm working with right now, and they're hiring, and I love that. One of the things they find they have to do, because they work with some very strong chemicals that some people are allergic to, they will hire someone as a temp for a month or 2. And they just give them kind of grunt work, is what I call it, you know, sweeping floors and following experienced people around. But when they're ready to hire them and put them on the machine by themselves, they still have a good deal of training time needed. So that's what we do with their employees, and because they've had several hired that were allergic, and they had to let them go because of that. But was it JTPA that you're talking about?
Yeah, it could have been, but we look at 5 years as training.
Yeah.
And, you know, so even a year down the road, we're still not going to send them over here to Brothers to let them take care of the freezer. So.
And when we put people into training, which is school, is the hook coming out? I have.
You're good.
Mark.
You're not getting the hook.
Yeah. When we put people into school to get a new skill, we encourage them to go into high demand, we won't even put them in anything that's not high demand. If they want to be a dog groomer, we're just not going to pay for it.
That's in high demand.
Oh, is it? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. But it has to be in the region, you know, just like we have 17 counties that depend on purchase area. And in our Muhlenberg, Hopkins, Webster, Crittenden, coal mining, or energy rather, was high demand. But in the other counties, Christian and Lyon and all those, it was not. So we look at high demand in the local region, as local as we can get it.
And you mentioned High Tech Chrome and some other companies. Berry Plastics obviously is a company that's growing, and I'm excited about the future for not only them, but our city and our county as a result of their anticipated growth. I know they're working very closely with the college on the screening of employees through the hiring process. Are you all involved with them as well?
I have put several dozen employees on OJTs at Berry Plastics. Worked very closely with Stan Bowser, the HR manager, and almost everyone they've hired, because they're fine. Like Goldenrod, when it closed down, they hired a lot of Goldenrod people because some of them were older workers, but these people had a work ethic and some skills that all they had to do is bring them in and teach them some of their specialized skills. That took time, but they found them to be extremely valuable employees, and we encourage that. And we've been working with a number of them. Yes.
I'm just kind of leading off on what he said. I am originally from Evansville, and I love Berry Plastics. I'm so excited that they're here because y'all have no idea how good they are going to be for the community. They were great in Evansville, and they'll just do it here too. But I was wondering about, when you do on-the-job training, do you do anything with people with special needs?
We have, one of our agencies is the vocational rehabilitation, and they do work with on-the-job training. They have an on-the-job training as well. But yes, we work in partnership with them. Yes, Bob?
How difficult is it to find employers around the area, such as the ones that you're talking about, that will give chances to people who have a criminal background, whether it's a misdemeanor or felony? Because I know that working in the substance abuse field and the reentry program and with drug court, that was one of the biggest things that we ran into, is we're trying to reenter them into the community, but no one wants to hire them.
It's a problem. I'm going to tell you, it is a problem, because When someone wants to do a background check, you can't even be a part-time cook in the nursing home if you have a felony record. You can't work at Huck's if you have a felony record. But you could work at Latin Frost, or you could work at High Tech Chrome, you could work at the coal mines. But what they look at, and I know this to be a fact, I've seen them hire people who have a felony record. It's a rare occasion, but I do have seen them do that. They look at how long ago the offense occurred. If they're a bank, they're not likely to hire somebody who's embezzled, money. So they look at the offense. We have people that are in prison or getting ready to go to prison because they're behind on their child support, and that is a felony. And they just look at felony, and it's a blanket label that's put on those people, and nobody will hire them. It's really difficult. We do have one program that's the Kentucky Farm Worker Program, and we have the court will send us people all the time that if I don't get a job right away, I'm going to jail. No doubt about it, because of child support. And Lana Sims, who's been at it for 25 years out there at our career center, some of the staff here know her well. She's a character, but she gets those people to work. Crothall Laundry Services will hire them in a minute. But she doesn't have that $11 threshold that we do, so she can put them in OJTs under $11. But would you want to tell your experience, Bonnie, about your training that you received from WIA?
Well, yeah, whenever I was, I guess it was my bachelor's degree. Actually, I can't remember if it was my associate's or bachelor's. But anyways, the WIA grant actually helped me financially through the last part of school, whether it's my associate's or bachelor's. Yeah, but it also helped me put me into a workplace to kind of give me some experience, some professional experience, and it helped me to learn how to be in the community and so forth. So it was beneficial, definitely beneficial for me.
And go ahead and finish the hour.
Well, it was just about, yesterday, 3 dislocated workers from the coal mines and a couple of other places where they've been laid off. Yesterday came to see me, they want to go to CDL training, or they want to go to one fellow wants to go to become an industrial maintenance. That's high demand right now. And I can't remember what the other guy, but I'm putting together the paperwork, and we'll be paying for their tuition and books for 2 solid years. And that's kind of what we did with Bonnie. If you qualify, we can do that. And I'm really proud of that. We're turning out a lot of HVAC people and people like that, because they need that. They need the schooling training, but they need that on the job training, especially with soft skills. Okay.
You talked about the job fairs, and you said it didn't matter how big or how small you were, you could put on a job fair. The other thing that you talked about was if we had positions available for people to list them through you. Exactly how much work do we do with you in order, because I have lots of people apply for jobs, but 99% of them I'm not going to hire. They don't even come in and look like they're looking for a job, much less to think that they could actually do the work. But, so one of my things is somebody that can help me to find the right people to come to work when I'm looking for someone.
Well, I wish I could say that the system was perfect, but just in Southeast One, it's not perfect, because matching up an employee with an employer that would be a perfect match is extremely difficult. We do have a program called Focus Career, and job seekers come in and they go onto this system. It's a statewide system, and it does their resume, their work history, and they can add their skills and training, and it matches them up with employers that have jobs looking for those very people. Within however mile radius, they want a 100-mile radius or 50 or whatever. And these are only employers that have listed with the Office of Employment and Training. So you could list the job with OT, but you can list the job with them and they will match you up with people referrals. And you can put restrictions on it.
How would these requirement solutions, whatever you got, apply? I do a lot of seasonal work. And I know boy brought me some of this stuff the other year that y'all would help, blah, 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 but I couldn't fulfill the time window. Let's say when he come on in July, if I had to hire him for 6 months or whatever, that my window ran out, so to speak.
Well, and I know what business you're talking about. I believe I do. You've been in so many. But Mona Sams can help you with that. I don't know if you've had any dealings with her, but she's matched with a lot of landscaping type businesses. And
I'll be the first to say, I've been like the Statue of Liberty. I've tried the tired and the drug addicts, and some of them are wonderful people. I mean, I've got some successes and I've got some terrible, but it's
but it costs you money.
it does,
to go through something.
and I'm not driving tinker toys.
That's right. Yes.
Well, and another comment on that is, what happens if you bring somebody in for 6 months under this program, and after 6 months, you find that they just really are not the fit for your business?
We're not
Do
committed
you have to
to-
pay the money back?
Oh,
Or do
absolutely
you-
not. And what we do is it's customized, you know, just like High Tech Chrome. If they're hiring somebody that's been a temp for 2 months, we'll say, well, they really only need about 4 months training because they've already had some exposure to the company. And each individual, you know, you may hire, for instance, IMS, when they hired that large block of people, they were people that had been working there, but they just needed about 6 weeks to get reoriented to the new company. So we paid them 50% of the salaries for 6 weeks. It's very customized with them. Maybe?
I have an IT issue because my company is growing, and my biggest issue is finding someone to fill that slot who can do graphics, who can do website design on a basic level, who will come to work and come to work when I ask them to come to work and do the work that I ask them to do and actually deliver that work. So, I mean, I have 6 interns this year, I mean, seriously, literally. Evidently I'm evil, I don't know. But do you find that there is a large need for that as far as the workforce that's available that might be able to match my needs? Because that would be something that would be amazing for me.
You know, I belong to the West Kentucky SHRM Group, Society for Human Resource Managers, and you could look at somebody that has 1,200 people on the payroll or 2 people on, and every single one of them has that same story.
Oh, good, I feel better.
You feel better. It's not you, Mary. It's them.
It's probably at least half that.
I was just talking to Armstrong Cole and Associated Engineers yesterday, and they expressed that exact same. He said, we can pay somebody $50 an hour. Well, I'm not going to work second shift. I'm not going to work Saturday. Or you mean you expect me to stay past 4 o'clock? You know? And the work ethic soft skills is just huge. Mm-hmm. And I won't say it's a generational thing, but it might be, but I think it's a different world. And we try, when we have Job Expo, that will be in April. We try to teach the soft skills, but honest to goodness, it's a cultural thing. I think you have to start from the preschoolers, teaching them responsibility and that sort of thing.
So do you have people in your system right now that might fit my needs that I could look at, possibly? Sweet. I'll
Now,
call
the
you.
other thing is, the person, say if you had a person that you thought might fit in your business, and I'm just using me as an example, but anyway, do I bring that person to you and then you determine whether or not they would be eligible for the placement? It's not just anybody that's eligible for placement. It has to be somebody, I mean, if you got somebody that's working somewhere else, say I'm gonna hire a People's associate, and I say, well, come to work for me. And then I take them out there to you so that you pay half of their wages. I mean, they were already in the workforce. So how does that work?
Okay. We, almost all of our OJTs are the company referrals. Landon Frost will say, we're getting ready to hire this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Can you see if they're eligible for the OJT? I start working with them directly, calling them, doing, you're asking all of our complicated questions. But you do the selection. I mean, you're gonna have to live with them.
Right.
So we want you to pick out who you want to work for. Now, we can refer people, but you all get bombarded with applicants. So if you see somebody, even if you suspect they might be, but they look like a good candidate, send them to us, and we'll see if they are. And I can whip up a contract like that. I can't snap anymore, but I can whip up a contract.
And you've done a great job of talking about the folks in the room as employers and finding those matchups and the various programs. Let's say that someone is wanting to transition, either because they know their job is going away, or they just have been bit by the entrepreneurial bug. They've got a great idea, they see a need, they want to do what Kevin Cotton is doing in transitioning from having a great day job for a wonderful employer to being full-time for as his own employer here. And with that in mind, can you work with folks like that who are wanting to become an employer, wanting to start their own business?
Well, entrepreneurial program, I think Jamie Lawrence spoke with you a couple of
Yes.
weeks ago, and he works for PAD. We all work together, but at one time we had a grant where we split an entrepreneurial director at the PAD office, but no longer is part of PAD. But we can help you find those resources.
You'd be a resource to help link up with other programs.
And of course,
Okay.
economic development is a
Yep.
key piece. I don't have to advertise that, I'm sure. But
You mean you won't let me hire myself for $11?
I was going
an hour?
right there with you, Sharon. I made that mistake. I'm gonna get a raise.
I didn't say right, you're I love it. I want to work for you though when I retire, part-time, my hours. I prefer to work.
Right, we've had that conversation.
Yeah, I know. Anybody else? You all are a great group, and Bonnie is just kind of like is a star because she's very ambitious, and she started her own business, but she started out very fearful of going to college even, because a lot of them do, and she's got that drive, and we're proud of her, and she's more successful. Yes, sir.
I know she asked about if you had people like IT people in y'all's employment searching program. Do y'all fund like the WIA stuff?
That is us.
Does it fund like computer majors?
Oh, really?
No, I wondered about that. But, and then luckily I came here today and you were here to talk that stuff.
Come see me, darling, you're not.
Do you need to see me first? That's what I want to know.
What do you do on JT? What do you do?
Just one comment that, people don't realize it's something that's out there, and I know that it's one of those risk factors, and, a lot of people are leery of using it, but the college has the Ready to Work program, which is going to pay the person to come work for you 20 hours a week. Now, like I said, it's hit or miss on who you get, but they're really good. They really try to link you with someone that's going to hopefully fit your needs. And that program provides a lot of services to people in the community who are low income or coming out of jail that just started going to school. So I mean, that's always something that you can remember through the college. I use that also. I went through Ready to Work, and
A lot of us in this room have had stories like that. I mean, when I moved to Madisonville 21 years ago, my story was I had 2 children. I bought a house with a hole in the roof, and it rained real bad. It fell on my bed. My car was a 62 Ford Fairlane at 45 miles an hour, and I had to put water in it. I got to Henderson working for temporary services. I went to school 3 nights a week, and now I'm able to have my own business. And so you need to take chances on people that don't have that educational background or have the training for what you do, which is why I go through so many interns. If you come to me, I'll pretty much give you a job. I'll try you. I mean, whether you make it or not is a different story, but I will try pretty much anybody for that reason.
Yeah.
Because there are so many good people out there that just need an opportunity.
And I'll tell you, when I interview a candidate for an OJT, as an employer, you can't ask certain questions. You can't ask about their family situation. I can ask everything. And I do. And I do. And being the old mama that I am, I sometimes say, you know what? If you don't stay on this job, there are 10 people waiting right behind you to take this job. So you better take it seriously and do a good job at it. I mean, those poor coal miners, they fish lectures. They'll say, yes, mama. But I talk to them, but I try to hone in on the point that this is an opportunity. Don't blow it, And we need preachers like that. Right? Anybody else? I'm sorry I talked too long.
You're fine, keep going for a minute. Anybody have any more questions?
But we do the paperwork. I don't want to think of all back in the old days that has loaded.
I would just like to say, as a small business employer, I mean, I would love to be able to hire just people. And if the people that you do hire would do a good job at what they're trying to do or have aspirations to be more than what they are, I would have room for a dozen people because we sell more cosmetics in Hopkins County than they sell in the whole state of Kentucky because the opportunity's there. And I don't know, maybe as an employer, I just need a boost. We got a boost for employers out there.
That's what
Other than that.
Some of that sick boost.
Well,
We all.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Ann. That was great. That'll give us a little idea about what to do when we find somebody. Before we let you go, I'm looking around the room, and I'm not going to look at specific faces or anything, but I see a few people who have fabulous businesses that still have not shared their wealth of knowledge with us, and we'd love to have you. And if you know of anyone in the community who has a business that you'd like to hear about or you'd like for us to know more about, please let us know, because we've put out feelers. We've got the people who aren't shy to talk already. We've even got a few of the shy ones to talk, but now we've got the ones who have great businesses that just, I don't like to get up in front of people and talk. And like, well, you can do it, because we don't bite, do we, Ann? We might give you the hook if you're on the video and you can't see us, but we're not going to bite. It's very painless. And we've got some great things coming up. Stay tuned. Please come back and bring a friend, tell everybody about us. I had somebody invite me the other day. I thought that was great. I met a new lady at the wedding expo, and I was talking about, she's starting a business, and I invited her to Rotary, and she said, well, have you heard about that new group on Wednesday mornings, that cups, million coffee cups, whatever? And I'm like, hey, yeah, I have. That's great. Why don't you come to it? So anyhow, invite people to come, and please notice on the back of your paper this morning, there's Brothers Barbecue is having a fundraiser for the United Way. It's a steak dinner on February 14th, and there are many other, I think, merchants in the room who are also doing all kinds of Valentine promotions. So keep it local. Try to spend your Valentine dollars locally, and come back and see us. Thanks.